This is Studio 809.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Outdoors Hiking Bob podcast. You can check me out and get links to my social media and all that stuff at hikingbob.com. It's November 20th, 2024, and I'm doing something a little different this week. Each November and December, the Give Pikes Peak campaign, a major fundraising event for nonprofit groups in the Pikes Peak region, goes into full swing. As a media partner, each year I feature some of the groups that are in the great outdoors or related categories. Instead of featuring a different group over the next few weeks, I'm instead releasing 4 podcasts today, each one featuring a different nonprofit, including the one you are about to listen to. So without further ado, here is one of those groups. Enjoy and go to givepikespeak.org to donate. Next up on the Give campaign podcast for the 2024 Give Pikes Peak campaign is Medicine Wheel Trail Advocates, probably the oldest biking group in Colorado Springs in the Pikes Peak region. We'll talk about that here in a minute. We have the executive director, Corey Satella, and a member of the board of directors, Jeff Montez de Oca. Gentlemen, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Bob.
I guess we'll start off with the easiest question. What is Medicine Wheel Trail Advocates, and what do you guys do? How long have you been around? Let's start off with that. Yeah, I've said you've been around probably the longest, so how long have you been around?
Yeah, I'll take that one, the easy one. Medicine Wheel Trail Advocates really began in the late 1980s when mountain biking was first emerging in this area, and it began as early adopters of mountain biking in collaboration with some of the bike shops and the racing leagues. The organization was more formalized in 1991. Specifically as a way to heal the trails, with our name making reference to how the trails provide healing for us in physical and mental ways. And so our official mission is we are mountain bikers who build, share, and protect inspiring trail experiences.
Awesome. What's your mission now?
Well, I'll jump in here.
Sure, Jeff.
Yeah. So since the trails heal us, we heal the trails. We have always focused on trail maintenance, design, and construction. And that's because we're mountain bikers, and we bring all levels of mountain biking opportunities to our community. Now, most of our trails are open to non-motorized uses, and some are open to motorcycles too. So it's always been important to Medwheel that we share the trails with other users and collaborate with others to implement a vision for a trail network that inspires all of us. So we advocate for public access to trails and for effective, transparent engagement during public processes. And we educate and encourage mountain bikers to share trails and to respect the natural resources where our trails take us. So our trail work and advocacy has built an incredible trail system that most users can easily access from their own home. And we do this work because the trails allow us to be our best selves. When we're out there on the trails, we're in control over our own time, which is something most of us don't get to do at work. We're connected to nature. It's a healthy, active, it's part of a healthy, active lifestyle. And even in mountain biking, where bicycles can be very, very expensive, the trails that we develop, the system that we've developed and maintain, you can ride that on any bike. You can get out there hiking. So it's incredibly affordable. So then probably a question that people have is, how do we engage in advocacy? Well, we unpack and provide explanations of complicated policy issues on public lands to encourage wide engagement by trail users. I mean, we are all about the democratic engagement with our open spaces, with our wild lands. And we build partnerships with all public land managers, whether it's city, county, state, U.S. Forest Service. And we also work with private landowners that allow public access. And that is something that's becoming increasingly more common.
Great. That sounds like you guys are doing a lot of stuff out there. Corey, maybe this is a good question for you. Tell us about some of the things that Medicine Wheel has done in the Pikes Peak region that a cyclist or even a hiker or the casual user of a trail might recognize as something you've been involved in.
Well, I guess I'll start first with this is really a mountain biking focused achievement. This year at Fountain Valley School, which is a boarding school near the city of Fountain, and it's right across the road from Blue Stem Prairie open space. So I think most people are familiar with Blue Stem Prairie. After several years of planning with Fountain Valley School, over the last year, we completed construction of some key trail segments that allowed Fountain Valley School to have an on-campus race course. And the race course was designed so that it meets the requirements of the Colorado High School Mountain Bike Race League. And in fact, this past September, we, in partnership with, well, really, Fountain Valley School was the host, and we were a partner in creating the trail network. They hosted the first Colorado Mountain Bike League race on the Front Range. So until now, mountain bike racers in high school have had to travel to the high country in order to get some racing. Now we've got a race course that's on the Front Range. It was a great success. There were over 700 racers at that sanctioned league event. They also hosted an informal race that included middle schoolers, and that's an opportunity that Fountain Valley intends to expand, is to provide more racing opportunities closer to home, especially for high schoolers and younger students. So that's.
If I could just jump in real quick about that,
please.
With the hundreds of families and racers there, it was like a festival. It was so much fun, and it brought so much attention to our area.
Yep, it was a great success, and we can't wait to see how we can build on that in the future. So that's Fountain Valley School. Another new trail project that we've been working on is the Forest Lakes Trail. This is off Baptist Road on the southwest corner of Monument. So if you were to take Baptist Road straight west towards the mountains, you'd hit Mount Herman. And this trail has been developed in partnership with Classic Homes and a few others. It's a new housing development where we've designed and constructed 1.5 miles of new single track. And what's exciting about it, number one, it's a fun piece of single track. But number two, it really has great connections. Right now, it connects to the Santa Fe Trail or the Front Range Trail through the county's regional trail. So it's accessible by bike, really, from anywhere in our region. And it's adjacent to the National Forest and the Mount Herman Trail system. And Bob, I think you're familiar with some of the trails that are up there on the fire center up there by Mount Herman.
I know them well, and it's pretty cool that you're connecting that up. There's always been a dead end at that west end of Baptist Road. You hit there, and there's just nothing there to go from there.
Yeah, and so that will be a multi-use, non-motorized, so it'll be open to hikers and dog walkers and equestrians. Not a motorized trail. The future connection into the Forest Service is still under development. As you know, the processes to do that are very complicated, but we are working with the state and the federal agencies to try to make that connection. So the formal connection to the Mount Herman Trail Network is still to come, but as it is right now, it's a great bit of single track that connects in through the Santa Fe Trail. Another big success we had this year was at the Concrete Couch at the Coyote property. So this is on the southeast corner of downtown Colorado Springs. We have developed a trail plan there and have implemented some trails. The exciting thing we did this year is we worked with an Eagle Scout to implement a new pump track, and that has been received very well. It's gonna need some more maintenance, like a pump track always does. But yeah, it's a new pump track facility on Concrete Couch's property that is open to the public from dawn to dusk, I think is their stated hours. So that's a unique partnership that brings a new biking amenity specifically for beginning and family riders.
If I can interrupt Corey again real quickly here, I think that the work we're doing at Concrete Coyote really captures the values and the goals of Medwheel. That downtown area, that's an industrial area. That's not a place that people think about like for mountain biking. And the people that live in that area don't oftentimes have great access to the mountain trails on the west side. And so this is really bringing mountain biking to a community that has for a long time been really underserved. And it's a place where kids can go have fun and be kids.
I just have a quick question. Number one, for the listeners who aren't familiar, what's a pump track? And number two, I'm trying to pin down where this is. Is this like around the area of Fountain and Royer and that general vicinity, or am I a little off of where it is?
Yeah, so for the second question, yeah, it's at Las Vegas and Royer, right by the train track crossing. So yeah, you've got that area just right.
Gotcha.
And I apologize. Yeah, pump track is it's well known for mountain bikers, but not everybody knows. So a pump track is a fairly short, closed, usually dirt or sometimes asphalt track where you can ride your bike without pedaling or braking. So it's got berms and bumps, and basically you use the motion of your body and you push the bike around, and you can go around in this loop without having to pedal or brake. And it's a bit of an acquired skill, but it's a skill that's very valuable also out on the trail to control your bike. So it's super fun. And it also is a chance for doing some skill building.
It's also great exercise.
Yeah, wears you out quickly. So actually, that's a good segue to some of the maintenance work that we've accomplished. So over the past year, I think we're at 33 different work days on 8 unique properties throughout the region for this year, and we've still got some to come. Some of that work we did at the Cresta Bike Park, and so probably some of your listeners will know that we were involved and were the general contractor for the construction of a pump track and a technical track in Cresta, and that was part of the North Cheyenne Canyon system. So that's on city property. It's right near Cheyenne Mountain High School. And this year, so that track was opened in 22, and this year we did a revamp. We worked with our a contractor that was able to put a recap on it. So we brought in more dirt and we put basically a new skin on top of this dirt pump track. And that's the kind of maintenance that is needed and is pretty common, especially on a new facility like Cresta. Likewise, we were able to do some work at Goose Gossage. So this is along the Santa Fe Trail. We work with a lot of the users that like that facility. It's it's a family-friendly, progressive, like a dirt jumping kind of facility. Over the last few years, we were able to get a water tank installed, and so we keep the water topped up there so users can use water to repair the track. And this year we brought in some new dirt that's got good dirt consistency so that the maintenance is a lot easier in that spot. A couple of other maintenance highlights from this year: we did some reroutes in Palmer Park that was in support of the Pikes Peak Apex race, and we also did some valuable maintenance on the chutes, including some rock work that's pretty technical, and that's going to support the sustainability of the trail, and many, many other maintenance days across the region.
Excellent. You guys are doing a lot of work out there. You talked a lot about, and I know you guys have done a lot of work with you talk about multi-use trails and getting a lot of people, out there trying to make these trails accessible to as many people as possible. Tell me, whichever one of you guys wants to answer this, tell me about your work in public outreach and public education. I'm thinking like cyclists and other users, working together and coexisting together. Can you guys tell me a little bit about that?
Why don't you go ahead and take that one, Corey?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the question, Bob. Really, since our formation, since before 1991, it's been a really high priority for MedWheel to work with other user groups. So, Bob, I know you're not an avid cyclist, but as a voice of the hiking world, we've enjoyed building our relationship with you. We've worked with the CMTRA, that's a motorcycle group, since our inception, worked on projects with them. We enjoy positive relationships with the equestrian users and have since our formation, and have done multiple projects with them. One of the exciting projects that we did this year, we've sort of informally adopted the Ute Pass Trail, which is a county, El Paso County Parks property, and we did some trail maintenance this year, and that was in conjunction with the Pikes Peak Trail Cats. So I guess the number one thing is we build relationships with all kinds of user groups, including conservation groups that aren't really into biking, but they do support the same kind of values that we have, which is, we're outside because we enjoy these beautiful spaces and we want to connect with nature. So a lot of our work goes into outreach, especially to other groups that are in the same space, but aren't exactly focused on the detailed technical mountain bike aspects. In terms of education, we try to use our social media, and as much as possible, we provide information to interested trail users. Here's how you can get involved in public processes. here is the guidelines for how you might use trails, how to share trails with others. Obviously, the more we can share trails, the greater the capacity of our trail system for all of us. In some cases, we have to have separated uses, especially with the emergence of downhill mountain biking. So we advocate for, in some cases, some single direction downhill mountain bike trails. And then we also advocate for other uses and encourage people to, the thing we always share is show up at the trailhead happy, show up with a smile and say hello to your fellow users. Everyone's there for the same purpose, which is to enjoy their experience and to get the rejuvenation that trails bring to us. And, sometimes I know, especially as mountain bikers, we can get in our zone and we're focused on maybe our time or the specific experience on a certain trail feature. We have to remember that it's a privilege to share this wonderful trail network with all users. And so there's a time and a place to set your personal record. And it's not always on multi-use, multi-direction trails. And so we try to provide that educational information for trail users.
Excellent. Yeah, I can say that, and I can say that as a hiker primarily. I have a bike that maybe a couple times a year comes off the ceiling of my garage and goes out for a ride after I spend an hour or two fixing it and getting it back into shape. That the interactions between cyclists and hikers, which has been a point of contention for some people, has improved drastically over the last several years. And I credit you and other organizations. I said IMBA, I think, is the other group that have really done a lot to promote good interactions between the cycling community and the hikers. And I'm glad you brought up the equestrians too. So I really appreciate that. I can say that I rarely have an experience with a cyclist that isn't optimal at all. And there's always going to be always going to be rogue people out there. I point out that not all hikers behave very well either, and with many of the other groups. So I appreciate that. With the Give campaign coming up, and this is a big fundraiser for yourself and a lot of other groups in the Pikes Peak region, how are you going to, I guess, make your pitch for people out there listening? If they give to you during this campaign, how are you going to use that to promote your mission?
Thanks, Bob, for asking us that question. I mean, for the past 30 years, Medicine Wheel has been involved in building an amazing trail system here in the Pikes Peak area. And so what we're going to do is we're going to keep building, expanding, and maintaining this amazing trail system that we have. And what's incredible about it is it's so accessible, and you can get there from your own home. I mean, everyone has access to it. I live on the west side. I jump on my bicycle, and in 15 minutes, I'm at a trailhead that's going to take me up into the Rocky Mountains, into the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. And that is simply incredible. And so we really believe that Colorado Springs is the best place for mountain bikers to live, because we've got these great resources and a well-developed system. Also, giving money to us allows you to add your voice to ours for more access to more and better trails. Also, to help us spread the word about responsible recreation that supports long-term preservation of the natural wild spaces that heal us. A lot of people will talk about recreation and conservation in very binary terms. And we really believe that those two are linked to each other. That we've got, 750,000 people living in this region now. We're going to be at 1 million people before long and be the biggest city in the state of Colorado. And the people that come here, they want to get outside. I mean, that's why people move. That's one of the reasons I moved to Colorado. And so if we don't have a trail system that can accommodate people, they're going to go everywhere. And it's going to damage our natural resources. And so we're 100% in favor of responsible development of our resources so that we can manage our natural resources, knowing that there are all these people here that that want to get outside. And it is through this like responsible regulation of these spaces that allow for us to share these spaces. I mean, you talk about, how much improved interactions are between bikers and hikers now. Well, we understand each other better. We've helped to like spread ideas about, understanding of etiquette. How do we use the same space differently without having conflict with each other? I mean, I'm always telling people, just other bikers, just get a bell. Just having a bell is such a simple thing, and it makes your interactions with other users, the hikers in particular, so much better. So these are the kinds of things we'll be doing with the money that people donate to us.
Awesome. Well, I can tell you that in my time serving on both the county parks board and just up till recently the TOPS working committee at the city, that I've always appreciated, Corey, especially you showing up at the meetings and providing input, the cyclist point of view. It always, like I said, for me being a hiker and not so much a cyclist, sometimes I'm not aware of the differences of the needs of different users. So it's always good having you there. So I appreciate Medicine Wheel's involvement in the process of developing parks and trails and open spaces, and also your advocacy. I really appreciate that. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, thanks, Bob. I'll jump in with some specifics of some of the ways that more support will help us in this region. So we're planning to continue our work on some of these new trails in Forest Lakes and at Fountain Valley School. We've got some more plans for those. We will continue our advocacy on some of the public properties, like specifically Blodgett Open Space is going to be developed. Fisher's Canyon is under master planning right now, and we'll be continuing to work on that. We will also continue and hopefully expand. If we've got the support, we will expand more maintenance on more trails. And we've got a particular eye in supporting maintenance on trails that are used by the Apex race, the Pikes Peak Apex mountain bike race. And that might include Palmer Park, which usually needs a lot of work, but we're still making plans for next year. And in addition, we've got some new locations that we're just not quite ready to talk about. But as you know, some of these trail projects take several years, up to several decades to ripen, and we've got several in the hopper that we could talk maybe a little bit more about in person, but maybe don't want to have out there on a podcast. And if your listeners do want to join us in person, would now be a good time to explain some of the events that we've got coming up with the Give Pikes Peak campaign?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll jump in. We've got on Friday, November 22nd, we've got a comedy bingo event at OCC Brewing in Old Colorado City. So we've got comedians and some entertaining bingo. It's pretty low-key bingo, but if you're into bingo or you just want to have a good time and learn about our organization, we're doing that in partnership with Upadowna. So arrive at 6:30 for 7 o'clock first bingo sheet. On Friday, December 6th, we've got the Embers and Ales event at Trails End up in Monument. So this is in conjunction with the Small Town Christmas Market. So we've got DJ music featuring Subcast Sound, which is a well-known sound system in town here. We'll have some interactive fire art to keep our members warm. And there's plenty of Christmas cheer and a chance to get some small town Christmas market items for Christmas. On December 10th, we're doing a holiday sweater bike ride with Upadowna. That'll be at Goat Patch Brewing. And then on Wednesday, December 18th, we're having a holiday happy hour. This is at a warehouse in partnership with a group called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. So they're a Give Pikes Peak group, and we're happy to partner with them. And we'll have a few other groups that are joining us. We'll have live music there provided by the Black Rose Acoustic Society. If weather permits, we'll have rides on an 8-person human-powered bicycle. It's called the Levitator Lounge. And we've got lots of refreshments and a lot of fun things happening. So again, that's Wednesday, December 18th. And we've got a few other events throughout this fall season. You can find out more about those events on our calendar page, and that's at medwheel.org.
Excellent. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I appreciate the work you all do in the community. If nothing else, best of luck in the Give campaign. I hope you meet your goals.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for the chance to speak.
Thanks so much, Bob, for having us on.
And that was Corey Satella and Jeff Montez de Oca of Medicine Wheel Trail Advocates.